What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing drive belts and belt tensioner and the either pulley on my 3 Series BMW here. Intermittently it gets a belt squeak. Some mornings I start it up and it squeaks for 10 or 15 seconds after I start it up. Other times I start it up and it squeaks for 10 minutes while I'm driving it. It always goes away every single time, but it's just there intermittently, and it's like some days it does it, you know, sometimes it does it multiple days in a row, other times it goes for weeks and doesn't do it again. So it's obviously got a bad bearing in one of the pulleys that's getting like caught up and it's causing it to squeak. Also, while I was inspecting it, I noticed that the AC belt is cracked and dry rotted a little bit, so it's a good thing I'm going in there because that obviously needs to be replaced as well. I wanted to show you guys I got a full kit, new tensioners. I'm not really sure which one's which, but one of them's for the AC and one of them's for the main belt. This is the idler pulley that bolts through where the alternator goes. That's bolts for one of these. I believe the other ones are in the box still. And then AC belt and main drive belt. We're going to get those replaced today as well. Also, I wanted to go over the tools needed for this job. It's actually pretty simple. You're going to need a T30 and a 1/4 inch ratchet for the screw that holds the side of the fan shroud on. This is for a trim tool. This or also a pair of side cutters works as well. That's going to be for taking these clips off here. And then also there's another clip here on this fan shroud that you have to take off, and that's for that as well. 1 1/4 inch wrench for the fan clutch. This has been used quite a bit, as you can see, by me for that removing the fan clutches on these cars. Then you're going to need a hammer as well to hit this. A note: this fan clutch on this car is actually reverse thread, so when you're breaking it loose, you're actually going to be turning it in the direction that you would think is tightening, because it's reverse thread, so that it doesn't loosen up while the car's running. And then as far as the tensioner and stuff goes, 60mm takes the is the tool that you use to take the tension off the belts. There's like a built-in, I don't know if these new, yep, these new tensioners do. There's this right here on both of these tensioners is a 60mm to rotate this tensioner, take the tension off so you can get the belt off. And then the bolts that hold the tensioner in place are 13s, and then this bolt that holds this either pulley on is also a 16. So pretty simple set of tools. 60mm sockets. I don't have the 13s out yet. 1/4 inch ratchets to break the bolt loose and break the bolts loose and remove the belts, and then, you know, hammer and stuff. And then trusty old gloves, just so you don't get so dirty while you're working on it. So where I'm going to cut to getting this fan shroud and all this stuff out, and getting the fan itself out, so I can, you know, get in there and get to the belts and everything. Alright, I wanted to correct what I said at the beginning of the video as well. This is actually not a T30, it is a T25 holding this fan shroud in on the side here. So I'm going to thread out this screw. Set that off to the side. And then now that your fan shroud or fan clutch is loose, you can usually just turn the fan and it'll spin the fan itself off under the nut. Sometimes your fan will be really loose. Mine's a little loose right now because the car's a little warm still. I was driving it earlier. So when the fan's a little loose like that, it's kind of hard to get it to spin. Sometimes you'll have to use the wrench the entire way to get it off. Also, another correction, the old AC compressor belt tensioner is a T60. The only T60 I have is a 1/2 inch drive, so I'm using an adapter to adapt on the 3/4 inch drive. But again, T60, and there's a slot in it that the T60 goes in. You push down on it, it takes the tension off the belt, and you take the belt off. Pretty straightforward, and as you can see, my drive belt has seen better days, so it's a good thing we're replacing it. Now we're gonna go to the 16 on this one, and we are going to take the tension off this belt, pull the belt tensioner off, or the belt off of everything, and just kind of like, you can either take a picture when you're doing this of the way the belt's routed so you have a memory. I know, because I've done so many of these, I remember which way it's routed, or just kind of take a visual image for yourself of which way the belt's routed. But there's also plenty of information available on the internet on which way the belts are supposed to go on these, so if you need it, it's there. This belt's a little messed up. There's a couple spots there, spot there, there. Yeah, so this belt was starting to come apart too. Some of these belts, the way they're designed, it's actually really hard to tell that the belt itself, just by looking at it, is messed up. Some of the newer designs don't crack like that AC belt does. They'll look like this and not look like they have any problems for the entire life of the belt, but they'll start making noises and they can potentially come apart even though they don't look like there's anything wrong with them. So just be wary of that. So we're gonna take this either pulley off right now. All right, so I got the old tensioner off. 2 bolts hold this on. Just kind of pair it up to make sure that your new tensioner is the right bolt, the right style, and everything like that. This one's also missing the cap, which I just now noticed. Hear how that's making noise like that? That doesn't, I don't know if that's causing any part of the problems, but this one doesn't have, it doesn't spin as freely, but that's just because it's new. It'll kind of wear in and spin as freely, but it also isn't making noise while it spins around. So that to me makes me think that that's probably part of my problem, is the fact that even though this isn't like squealing constantly, the fact that it's making a little bit of bearing noise right now with no load on it, and it's part of the problem. So it's a good thing I'm replacing these tensioners. Like I said, 60mm here, you push clockwise with your ratchet and it'll take tension off the belt, pull the belt off. You can either take a mental note of where the belt goes, like routing wise, or you can take a physical picture with your camera on your phone or whatever, just to get an idea of where the belt's supposed to go. If you don't do that, or you for some reason forget, there's plenty of information on the internet on where the belts route on these, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So let's go ahead and get this tensioner put back in here. When you're putting this on, see this little pin here? That pin goes in a slot right here on the alternator. You'll see it when you're doing yours. You just gotta make sure that it's oriented in that slot the right way, that the pin actually sits in that slot when you're doing it, because it orients the pulley in the right direction so that it doesn't hit the other like tensioner pulley right below it. So All right, so I wanted to show you guys, get you a little visual representation of how the belt is ran before you take everything apart. This tensioner right here, 16mm, turn it clockwise to take the tension off the belt, pull the belt off of this. In order to get this belt off, you have to take this belt off. This pulley, or this tensioner, is actually a T60. I was incorrect in saying that was a 16. I think some of the older ones were 16s, I'm not really sure, but that's a T60. You're gonna take this belt off. As you can see right here, this belt's kind of messed up. You're gonna take this belt off. To get this belt off, take this belt off. There's two 13s, one right here, and there's another one underneath in the back holding this tensioner on. You're going to take those two 13s out, take that tensioner out, put the new one in. 60mm bolt here, take this idler out. When you're taking this idler back off or putting it back on, right here where my finger is, there's a notch in the alternator bracket. There's a pin on this idler. Actually, I could show you on the old one. There's a pin on this idler right here that needs to be in that notch in order to orient this bolt, because as you can see, it's not, the bolt hole's actually not in the center of the pulley. It orients the bolt, the pulley, the right way so that it doesn't touch the tensioner pulley when you have tension taken off the belt, because these pulleys actually come really close to touching when there's no tension on this tension pulley right here. You take this belt off, take that off, take that 16 off, put your new thing on. Your either pulley is probably going to have a cap on this. Mine does not. I don't know where it's at. I don't see it down here anywhere. It's probably been taken off before and somebody lost it and just decided they didn't want to put it back. There'll be a cap on here that you just get like a pick or a pocket screwdriver behind. Pop that off. This one, 16, take the belt off like I said. Swap that one out. I already did this one. I did this idler. As you saw, this one has a groove worn in it. That's most likely my noise that I'm getting. It's probably this belt slipping over this pulley that's causing that groove to be worn in that pulley. I'm going to get the right tensioner for this and replace this belt with the new belt that I have once I get the tensioner for that. I don't want to put the new belt on this old pulley that's messed up and mess the new belt up. So we're going to get this put back together and be done with this job. Wanted to make note, when you're putting this thing back in, this fan shroud, there's actually a locating tab on this side, along the side of the radiator that it has to slide into. There's also one along this side, and then there's two tabs at the bottom that have to go into a piece of plastic that runs across the bottom of the radiator to make sure that the bottom of the fan shroud's secured. And then this little guy right here in front slips over top of the lip of the radiator and holds this fan shroud in place so it doesn't move around. And then screw secures it in this corner, and a push pin secures it in that corner. It's pretty simple. All right guys, so as you can see, doing the belts and pulleys on these cars is not too hard. I just went and drove it, got it warm, see if the noise was there. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the noise was kind of intermittent, so there's really no telling whether or not I fixed it or not. It's probably going to take a couple days to weeks of driving it to see if it actually is gone. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you could please comment down below if you have any questions, any suggestions on future content. Please like this video. It lets me know that this is stuff you guys enjoy watching, and please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out. It helps me to grow the channel and gives me, you know, reasons to continue going. So appreciate you guys, and I'll see you later.